Gucci flip-flops, fuck it, hit your bitch in massage. This a big watch, diamonds dripping off of the clock. Pull the 6 out, wintertime, dropping the top. Give it to they pussy ass, turn this shit up a notch.
Our curtain closes, but will you still love me when nobody will do? Me and my selfishness, me and my selfish you, nothing but a happy new version of you. The way you love to show me what it's like to be happy.
Ah! Oh my god, so embarrassing. Hi guys, it's Megan. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. And so today's gonna be a story time, and I know I haven't done a story time in a while, but let's be real, have I done anything in a while? I mean, I've been a lot more like active lately, but you know, whatever. So this video is starting off messy already, but I mean, I guess that's the theme, because if you can tell by the title, this is the story about when I almost got deported. So this is a story about a girl named Lucky. No, I was definitely so unlucky when it came to this, but I'm gonna jump right into the story and stop rambling. But before I do, if you like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and also to hit the subscribe button. I have a hangnail. I post often, so put the notifications on as well. And all of my Instagram and like social media stuff will be in the description box below. So basically, this takes place around last month. So if you guys didn't know, I went to the UK to see my boyfriend Keenan, and it was really fun actually, but I had to get there first, didn't I? And that was difficult. So we planned all of this by ourselves with the help of a few friends, and we actually miraculously pulled it off. So now it's just the waiting process until the day that I got there, or the day that I could go to the airport, like the day my flight was, whatever. And I remember telling Keenan and like a few of my other friends, like, I really hope that I don't get stopped at TSA. So I don't know if they call them TSA in the UK, because for every British person I said I don't want to get stopped by TSA, somebody was like, what's TSA? If you don't know what TSA is basically airport security. They're the guys who make you go through metal detectors and go through that big thing that like spins around you, and they check your bags, and yeah, that's what TSA is. So I was like, I don't want to get stopped by TSA, and the reason why I said that was because back in December, me and my family went to Florida, and I just did not have a good experience with TSA. But if you want to hear that story, let me know, and I'll do a story time on that, because that was, I guess I just don't have good luck when it comes to airports. But so I go to JFK, and I'm there very early for me. I get there at around 9:30, 10 o'clock. My flight was about 12:45, I believe. So I was there really early. I did not want to miss anything or be late and miss my flight. So I made sure to be there very early. And so I go through TSA, and actually everything went pretty well. Nobody stopped me. Nobody said anything to me. So I'm thinking that everything is going to be okay. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just waiting for my plane to take off, like calling family, calling my parents, talking to Keenan, who was at work at the time, and, you know, just making sure that everyone was on the same page as far as, like, I'm at the airport, and I was talking to Keenan and saying, like, how excited I was to be going over there, and we were just, like, talking, and that's really it. So I get on my plane, and not much happened there. It's a plane. I was on the plane for about 6 or 7 hours, closer to 7 hours. So I sat next to this girl, and she's from the UK, but she was visiting New York, so she was going home. and she slept basically the whole trip. But then when she woke up, she was talking to me, and it was just kind of like idle conversation, like, oh, you're from New York, that's so cool, like, why are you going to the UK, like stuff like that. But then she said, oh, when we get off the plane, I won't see you, so give me your Instagram. And I was like, why won't you see me, like, we're all going to the same place, are we not? And she was like, well, you have to go through border control. So at this point, I'm like, what is border control? Like, I thought I did that. And she was like, no, you went through airport security, you didn't go through border control. So basically, what I didn't know is when you come to a different country, like, although you have TSA and whatnot, you still have to go through immigrations. So I was kind of nervous just because of my prior, like, bad luck at airports back in December. So I was kind of like, oh. But then I thought I wasn't stopped in New York, so I wouldn't be stopped here. So, you know, I have no reason to worry. Like, I'm fine. I get off the plane, and the second I landed, I connected to the airport Wi-Fi so I can talk to Keenan and let him know that I was there. So he's basically like, oh, I'm gonna be late, like I got held up at work, and I was completely fine with that. There was no real problem there. But so I go online to go through border control, and this guy, he's really tall. He was like probably twice my height, and I'm really tall for a girl. So he stops me, and I found out afterwards that this is like necessary that you have to do, but the way that it was coming across with our conversation was very, very weird. So basically he's like, good morning, because at this point it's like 12 in the morning, maybe 1 in the morning, around there. So he's like, good morning, how was your flight? And I was like, oh, it's fine. And he was like, oh, are you a UK resident? And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, oh, so why are you here? Essentially, he was like, why are you here? Like, why are you in my country? So I basically explained to him that I was here to just kind of visit, and I was gonna hang out with some friends, and I was gonna be with Keenan. So he goes, huh. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And he was like, you came to a whole different country to hang out with friends. And I was like, yeah. But I was getting nervous at this point, so I kind of could understand how it sounded a bit sus. But I was like, yeah. So he's like, okay, where are you staying? And I told him where I was staying, and he was like, do you have documents to prove that you're staying there? And luckily, when I printed out my plane tickets to come, I decided that it would be a good idea to print out my Airbnb papers as well. So I actually did luckily have the papers. So I showed him the papers, and he was like, okay, so this is where you're staying. Where do your friends live? And I was like, well, they're scattered, but for the most part, they live in, told them where my friends live. I'm not going to share that because yikes. But he was kind of like not believing in my story. So he goes, oh, who are your friends? So I was telling him about Keenan and some of my other friends that I thought I would meet but didn't get to meet. And he was basically like, like very he didn't really believe me, and I don't know why, because I literally had no reason to lie, and I wasn't lying about anything, but I was getting really nervous because I was looking from my peripheral vision how people are just like going through the borders and like questions and like, hi, what are you here for? Visiting, okay, you can go. But I was still there, so it was making me kind of uncomfortable. So the guy asks me how much money I had on me, and I told him how much money I had on me, and he goes, okay, so who's picking you up from the airport? How are you getting to the place? So I told him Keenan was picking me up from the airport, and he goes, okay, and how are you getting back? And I was like, Keenan's bringing me back to the airport. Like, what? So basically, he goes, okay, well, and I'm like, is something wrong? Like, at this point, I'm like shaking, like about to cry, and he's like, no, nothing is wrong. And I'm like, if something is wrong, I would rather you tell me than not have me know because I can't handle that. Like, I've never done this before, and you're questioning me, and I'm the only person here at this point, and I'm afraid. So I would appreciate it if you told me what was going on. And he goes, okay, well, basically, your story doesn't quite add up. So I'm going to have you sit in this room, and I'm going to talk to my manager about what we should do. And I was like, how does my story not add up? And he goes, oh, it's just weird because you're coming to meet people that you've known for 4 years that you've never met in person, and you don't have that much money on you, and you're staying by yourself in a place you've never been to. That just sounds very weird. So I guess he was under the impression that I was coming to like work or something, because I had like $100 at the time, because getting to an airport is expensive. But yeah, but I had like backup plans. I only had like $100 in cash, but I had like backup plans. And he was just like, I don't believe you. Essentially, he was like, I don't believe you. Like, your story sounds insane. And I was like, I know, but that's literally my life. Literally my life. Like, that's just, my life is insane, sir. My life doesn't make sense. My life is very not planned out well. I am a child. And he was just kind of like, okay, well, then give me Keenan's number since he's picking you up, and I'll talk to him. So I gave him Keenan's number, of course. I wasn't gonna like hide that for him. And he goes in the back, and at this point I'm calling Keenan, and I'm like crying, and he's like, hey, I'm almost at the airport, and I'm like sobbing, and I'm like, they're gonna deport me. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, the airport guy, he's like tall and mean, and everybody went past, and I don't know why I'm the only person here. Like, I'm just sitting here by myself, and I think they're gonna deport me. And Keenan was like, Megan, stop crying, they're not gonna deport you. So basically, I got this paper, and it basically is saying that I have to be inspected further and decided like whether or not I'm allowed into the country or not. So I sat there, and while I was on the phone to Keenan, the airport guy called him. So Keenan was like, who is this? Like, I'm not gonna answer. And I was like, I don't know. So by then, the guy comes back. I'm still on the phone with Keenan, and he goes, okay, well, I tried to call Keenan, and he didn't answer. And in my earphone, Keenan is like, oh, that's who that was. I should have answered. And I was like, ugh. So I was like, okay, I would appreciate it if you would try to call him again, and he should answer, because last time I talked to him, he was on the train coming over here. So he goes back, and he calls Keenan, and Keenan picks up. I don't know too much of what happened on Keenan's side, but he said the guy sounded so confused when he was talking to him, and so like in disbelief that my story is actually like 100% accurate. But I mean, that's actually my life. Like, my life doesn't make sense at all. My life is actually messy. Hi, I'm Megan. Nice to meet you. And so he comes back. I guess he spoke to his manager, I don't know, but I was waiting there for so long. Like, I swear I was waiting there for like hours. It probably wasn't. It was probably like 20 minutes, but I swear I was waiting for hours. And so he comes back, and he's like, okay, you're all clear. Like, I'm gonna stamp your passport, and I'm gonna give you like a visitor's pass or whatever, and you're free to stay for 6 months, but you're not staying for 6 months, so that part doesn't matter. I just felt like I had to tell you that because it's my job to tell you that. And I was like, does this mean I can go? And he was like, yeah, I was on the phone to Keenan, and he said he was there, so go see him, I guess. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much, because I didn't have a backup plan. And how like terrible would it be to be on an airplane for 6 or 7 hours just to be told that you can't come into a country, to go back on a plane for 6 or 7 hours for nothing. Like, I'm afraid of planes as it is, so like once I landed, I was so thankful that nothing went wrong, and then to have to go through that again right after would have been so terrifying. But that is the story of how I almost got deported. So on this paper here, because I haven't looked at it, but basically it says, to Megan, I'm not gonna give you my last name, but it basically says to Megan, he spelled my name wrong, and he said, you are liable to be examined or further examined by me or another Border Force immigration officer. You're liable to be detained under, and then I guess it's like some law, and it goes, pending your examination and pending a decision to give or refuse you to leave or enter the country. So basically the guy had to take my passport, and he took like my Airbnb receipt, and he took my plane tickets, and I don't really know what he did with it because he wasn't there. He went into like a small room in the back, and it was there like me, and there was another flight that landed after mine, but only one. So the people who were walking through border like control or whatever were looking at me like I did something so bad. And I was on the phone to Keenan. I was like, everybody's staring at me as if I've done something wrong. And Keenan was like, well, don't look like you've done something wrong. And I'm like, I'm literally sitting in a box by myself, and people are just freely walking through the gates, and like I feel like a criminal. Like I feel like I've done something wrong. Like they found something in my suitcase, or I don't even know. But I didn't even have anything bad in my suitcase except for like hairspray. But I mean, if hairspray is enough to get you kicked out of a country, then oh my gosh. But basically, that was the most terrifying thing I've ever had to go through, and I have to go through it basically by myself. So like, you can only imagine that when the guy was like, you're free to go, and I walked up the escalator, and I grabbed my suitcase. I was the only person there. My suitcase was the only one there. And when I got to the baggage claim, all I thought was, oh my god, they shipped my luggage back, because I didn't see anyone's suitcase. So I got lost because I was the only person in the luggage claim. So somebody was like, you gotta exit through that way. And literally as soon as I exited, all I saw was Keenan, and it was just the most relieving feeling in the world to know that like after it actually took, because we didn't get to the house until like 3 a.m, so it actually took like a few hours, and it was just like, or maybe an hour and a half the most, but it was like the best feeling ever to see Keenan and to not get deported. But I was literally like standing in front of him like I actually almost got deported, and I showed him the slip because he probably thought I was being like slightly dramatic, but I showed him the slip, and he was like, oh, would you look at that? Like, what do you mean would you look at that? Like, what? And it's like, if he didn't answer, I actually would have been sent back to like America. Like, I can't think of a worse thing to do to somebody than send them back because you don't think their story adds up. But I mean, I guess it's like to protect the country, like to protect the world from devastation or something. But like, oh my gosh, like I would not want to go through that ever again. And literally every single time I go to see Keenan, I'm gonna be terrified of border control. But I kind of hope that every time I go, like that guy will be there, because then he'll like understand me and know where I'm coming from. But he had such a thick accent, like I didn't even understand him sometimes. And I can tell that he was getting annoyed because he's asking me questions and I'm like, what did you say? Like, I don't understand your accent. But he had like a very, very thick accent, so I guess that makes me feel better about not being able to understand him. But anyways, that was the story of how I almost got deported, and I'm very thankful that I didn't, because I had the best time of my life in the UK. And if you guys want like a whole video of that, let me know in the comments below. So yeah, before you leave, give this video a thumbs up, because my misery, I guess, is you guys' pleasure. So Give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for more story times and makeup videos and stuff like that. And if you want a tutorial on this look, let me know in the comment section below. All of my social media is going to be in the description box, so go look at that and follow me, and especially follow me on Twitter because that's where I do the most like video updates and stuff. And yeah, don't get deported. Be good kids. Have enough money when you go to different countries because they will be like, what? So with that being said, also while you guys are here, you might as well just check out my other videos because I mean they're all pretty mediocre at best, but you guys get to laugh at my pain because I have more story times up and I have more makeup tutorials up, and I even have a reaction video to a BTS thing. I just did that yesterday, so that would check it out. It's cool. It's funny. Yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video. Oh, bye guys.